With history, it's known that Spain has colonized the Philippines for 333 years. So, from my research, I wanted to look into the Spanish influence in Philippine music. Spain colonizing the Philippines gave them colonial power, as well as land, and an opportunity to convert the people. The native Philippines were growing in number to practice Islam, and it is only by Spanish introduction that the great majority of Filipinos today are practicing Christianity. Pre-colonial music was used for many occasions, such as marital or spiritual rituals. One group of people in the Philippines are the Samabajo. They believe their ancestors who passed left their spirits in the instruments, and that their ancestors used sounds in these instruments to communicate between the living and other spirits. There were several other functions as well. Pre-colonial music sang epics of heroes and used native boss gongs before its music became widely popular Christian music. There was some conflict as some of the natives did not want to be colonized by Spain. One notable group that reflects some of the indigenous music are the Mindanao people. One of the reasons is that it's very mountainous, which made it pretty much hard to colonize and bring in militia. The Mindanao are located by a river. The river links them, and through these boss gongs, they were able to use musical means to achieve communication with one another. Bronze was a component of these gongs, so they even held a high monetary value. Owning these instruments indicated high social status and even sophistication. Now, like mentioned earlier, Spain's main influence in the Philippines was Christian conversion. They were able to convert those who practiced indigenous religions or practiced Islam over to Christianity. One of the most obvious ways this was done was by discouraging natives, suppressing their native roots this way. That was pretty much how pre-colonial music disappeared or changed, besides the places in which Spanish couldn't colonize. The Spanish essentially conditioned Filipinos to accept Spanish ideas. During Spanish colonization, singing was nationwide for religious worship ceremonies. Religious conversion rose substantially among Filipinos as they just embraced the new religion. And with the new religion also came new rituals, with events such as Christmas. A new practice developed around Christmas time. This was caroling. And like here, carolers would go to houses and sing. Music was starting to get Tagalog lyrics, and people celebrated Christmas nationwide. Interestingly enough, through my interview with musicologist Dr. David Kendall, most native Filipinos would only meet one Spaniard, which happened to be the religious official. So for the main part, Filipinos would only see Spanish priests who arrived to convert them. In Manila, the priests would first learn the local dialect for where they go, which helped with religious conversion. Of course, music was a very important tool with religious conversion. Even though teachings by the Spanish priests were done in the local dialect, music was in Latin. So the choir, which were made of locals, had to learn how to read and sing Latin for these purposes. When friars wanted to teach Gregorian chant, they had to introduce a new musical language. It resulted in schools teaching liturgy and its music. Schools taught boys to pray, sing, and play instruments that were for the church. Father Juan de Santa Marta, who served in Spain, had trained 400 boys in 1606 to sing and play instruments. When the training was over, the boys would go back to their hometowns and essentially teach what they learned, further assimilating Spanish religious conversion. Through Spanish conquest, Spanish traditions and ideals were shared to those colonized. Through music, Spaniards were able to enforce colonial power and influence religious conversion. Education was through religion, as they had taught the indigenous Filipinos through the Roman Catholic Church. As music became increasingly important in the country, Filipinos began to learn it through education in schools, not just through church. The Spanish colonists introduced different musical ideas and instruments to the country. The guitar was introduced and even became a widely popular instrument throughout the Philippines. Even though the Spanish greatly influenced the country through religion and militia conquest, there were some groups that they failed to colonize. These groups, such as the Mindanao people, were able to resist them and preserve their customs and their religious beliefs.